For 8:56 the time now. It's sweet, made of fruit, and you can spread it on your toast. But unless you want to get into a sticky situation, you can't call it jam. That is, unless it's made up of at least 60% sugar.
After a one-woman campaign launched by our next guest, jam maker Clippy McKenna, the government is going to look at changing the rules about what it takes to be a jam. Clippy is here to tell us. So, Clippy, very good morning to you. So tell me, when is a jam...
It is an odd story, isn't
When's
it?
a jam not a jam?
A jam is not a jam when it doesn't have... when it has more fruit. So Clippy's has more fruit than any other high street conserve, fruit spread, jam, whatever.
OK.
So mine has more fruit and less sugar.
And it's not allowed to be...
because of that, it's not allowed to be called a jam.
So in order to make your jam officially jam, you would have had to up the amount of sugar.
I would have had to have gone to 60% and above, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be how I always remember my jam tasting from my mum and my gran when I was younger. And why couldn't we have that in the supermarkets like Tesco's and Morrison's?
Yes.
So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to do that myself, and I just went ahead and made jam at home from my apple trees in my back garden in Sale in Manchester. And then it went
jam
from there.
from apple trees, for starters.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can't call it jam.
No.
So what is it called?
So at the moment it's called conserve.
OK.
But the legal definition, it has to have one of three levels, and I don't fit any of those levels.
And I know you've been on this campaign. Is it going to change?
Yes. So from Monday, thanks to me, on my own, I went up against the EU last year, and then I had a meeting with DEFRA in May of last year as well, put my case to them. They were quite perplexed, as you can imagine, and I gave a very good statement for at least 45 minutes as to why my product should be called jam. If you look at it, it looks like jam.
Can we taste it? Come on.
It tastes like jam, it looks like jam, and
this ruling presumably
like
is not specific to your product. This is going to be a ruling that will affect anyone who makes this kind of product.
Yeah.
What am I going to eat?
That's apple and strawberry and gooseberry.
OK.
And is there now, has the amount of sugar been dropped? So, or is it anything can be called jam?
No, it's going to go down to 50. So that there's a level playing field, basically. What happened was the UK government can interpret how they see EU rules. They interpreted them and left it at 60 and then at 50. In between 51 and 59, no rule. And that's where I am.
The interesting thing, I mean, it tastes like jam, let's be clear.
It does.
The interesting thing about this as well is that given all these things that we're trying to do about obesity and all the rest of it, that it had to have that much sugar in order to be called a jam in the first place.
And that's what my whole issue was in the first place. Well, I've used British apples, and the apples that I use have two specific traits within them, so they've got two different acids.
Sweet as well.
Yeah, so it's sweet and it sets at the same time.
What happens if, taking that obesity argument and all the debate about sugar we're having recently, have you tried to make jam with much less sugar? I mean, with dramatically less, with 20%. Does it lose all its jam qualities?
And then you have to use lots of concentrates, lots of fruit syrups, high fructose corn syrups, and all kinds of things that your body can't assimilate. Doesn't know how to process them. So I thought, well, why don't I keep it natural and try and do something a bit different from the norm?
Just in the interest of research,
so I did.
What's this one?
That's apple and blueberry.
Okay, I'll just try this. Sorry.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to be like the Europeans. The Europeans eat jam with anything and everything. They eat 3 times as much as what we do. They don't have the obesity rates like that we do, but it's because they have a lower sugar levels.
Clippy McKenna, a one-woman jam machine. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing us some food.
Thank you.
I wish all the guests did that.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Do stay with us. Headlines are coming up shortly.